Cool. Well, let's hop into the agenda. And so the update on the campground at Lilac Oaks is I went and checked it out a couple weeks ago, and they have the back kind of the back group site that they have had up to. I think she said they've had groups of up to 400 people there. So it definitely can hold 150, 200, no problem. The um, there's several different parking areas on the property, and I think our site visit this. Hi, JJ.
How you doing?
Good.
Good.
Welcome.
Thanks.
We are just doing a little update on the Lilac Oaks campground. Was just sharing that they've had events up to 400 people on the back group site. So the size that we're looking at of 150 or 200 is very realistic for that. There's several different parking areas on the property, and that would be one of my only. I think this weekend when we go on Sunday to check it out, do some measurements of like the actual size of the parking areas and how many cars we could envision parking in each of them. Because they used to have this upper little field that was like even a soccer field that I think that cars could park on, but they've turned that into part of a trailer park. So that's not usable anymore. Mm-hmm. So it's not necessarily a concern, but I just really want us to evaluate the parking scenario and how many cars we would anticipate having, like how many people we think would carpool, how many people would drive themselves, how we could really incentivize carpooling.
We could do like shuttles or something too.
Yeah, we could do. There's a park and ride like off of Gopher Canyon Road there. So the shuttle's definitely an option. It would just be another logistic and expense we'd need to figure out. So ideally it'd be nice not to have to do that, but it's an option. And then there's a whole, the campground's quite large, and the back group site's way in the back, and there's another chunk of camping sites, about probably 10 sites, right, kind of adjacent to it, that the woman who works there said I could write the management and ask them like if they would, what kind of rate they'd be willing to give us if we were trying to reserve the whole back area, including those 10 spaces. That would give us quite a bit of additional parking in that area and more space. Like I don't necessarily think we would need the space. We could use it. It'd be nice, but the parking would be beneficial. And then there also wouldn't be any other campers like right kind of near us to deal with like us like concerning of like making too much noise and bothering other campers or something like that. So I emailed them like a week ago and still hadn't heard back. And I called yesterday and she said, let me check. It seems like sometimes their internet's not working that great on the campsite. And I tried again this morning and didn't get her. So hopefully today I can talk, or at least with Denise on the phone about that. If not, we have our little group field trip going out there on Sunday and can talk with her more about that there. But depending on the expense of how much it costs to have those additional like 10 sites, I think it would be nice for us to just have to see how reasonable of a price they're willing to give us. Because if they charge us like it's $25 a night per site, and so if they charge us their full rate for that little chunk, it would be kind of expensive for basically just additional parking.
Yeah.
But if they're willing to give us a good price, it could be good.
Yeah. Which document are you planning to put that information in? So I'm asking so I can include it in the budget modeling.
Yeah, I think for now we can just use the Team A planning document for kind of everything in this team for the moment. And then if at some point in time we want to copy and paste and create other like more specific documents for the campground or blah, 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 we can. But for now, I think we'll just keep it all in this Team A logistics, legal, and finance document.
All right, sounds good.
So that is kind of a little update on the campground with Lilac Oaks. The kind of the first agenda item was just like the needs for our venue. And I just have a couple basic bullet points there right now. I mean, camping space for 150 to 200 people. If we're thinking of selling 144, 150 tickets, and then including volunteers and people who may be coming to be hosts for the Regenerative Solutions Summit, I think we could get up to like more of the 200 person range. So camping and parking for, up to 200 people, bathrooms and showers, access to electricity and access to water. It's pretty basic things there. Which I feel that Lilac Oaks has all of them, and we'll just get deeper into that when we go for the site visit on Sunday. And Leia, are you going to be able to join us for that?
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome.
I wish I could, but it's a bit of a long trip for me.
Yeah, a little bit of a long trip for you, JJ and
Same
Matthew.
here. Yeah, I would like to come, but yeah, it's too far.
If we could just teleport you here. So I think the next agenda item is like, just kind of have it called the ground crew for right now. I think volunteers to help manage like the parking, the check-in, kind of ticketing process, how we want to deal with that. I don't know. This is a pretty small gathering, 150 people. I don't know exactly like if we really feel that we need like security in terms of medical. Like I guess we kind of need to feel into that. I feel this is going to be a very peaceful, harmonious gathering. I don't anticipate. I think I have some friends that I feel like I could kind of ask them, hey, could you be the security role for this weekend? How about any of you have any thoughts on that? Like,
Yeah, you definitely have a backup plan. Don't go without any plan.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's good to have some. We need something because it's a big enough group that we never know what unfortunate things might arise, and I think we do need to be prepared. So I think that's a good idea, Joshua, to look internally about in our community to see who we know who could fulfill. I think it would be security roles, and then also we would want to have some medical staff or trained medical professionals, maybe just a handful of them who would be there, at least, I don't know, one or two for each of the days. Those are my initial thoughts.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that sounds good. And maybe also, yes, envisioning it as a peaceful gathering. And so the word that comes to mind that I like is guardianship, and having just a crew of people that are holding this space if ever anything does come up. Even if it's like, I don't know, heat stroke,
Yeah.
This is like reset tent space.
Yeah.
But and that brings up a question. What time of year? I know next summer, right? What was the date that you're looking at?
September.
It's the fall equinox, September like 20th or so, something around there.
Okay.
So the temperature is typically very very nice in that part of the county. There's very, very minimal rain. The temperatures are pretty good. It doesn't get, at the nighttime it could be starting to get cool, but it's a very, very pleasant time of the year in that area.
And I want to throw something else out there. It's kind of hard. I didn't know what to say when you brought it up. Volunteer coordination is something that is in my realm, but it's kind of difficult for me because I'm not down. I'm not down there.
Yeah.
So and the truth is, we're talking about almost a year away, so it's hard for me to guarantee that I'm going to be there
Yeah.
at this point. So I don't really want to take that commitment on, but I will say that I'm more than willing to help whoever does take on that leadership role.
Okay, cool. Thank you, JJ. And there's a friend, Tina Nomad. She's been part of a lot of gatherings, and I reached out to her, and she seems interested to participate. And she's kind of been the lead for I think what's the after Burning Man, the decompression. Yeah. And like the I think she's managed like the parking crew for all of that, and I've seen her at Lucidity dealing with that.
Mhm.
So I have to talk with her, and hopefully if she is interested, I think she could be a really good point person for a lot of that.
Is she in Costa Rica right now?
Is she what?
And didn't she like move back? Not from San Diego?
I don't know. We've been corresponding on Messenger recently, and she hasn't said anything like that. I'm not sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I worked with her last year on shuttles at Lucidity.
Oh, okay, cool. So yeah, and then we'll have to look, before we spend too much time and energy, I think we should confirm what our venue is. And so I've started to think about logistics at Lilac Oaks of like how I could see the check-in process going and where people could stop and, get tickets. But, before we, until we confirm that and that is the location, I guess we shouldn't put too much time and energy, but just start thinking. I guess it'll give us a mock-up of just thinking through at least our entry process and ticketing and check-in wherever the venue ends up being.
And so, Joshua, in my experience of getting quotes for any purchase, I found it helpful to get at least 2. I mean, do we have another event space that's that's a similar front runner that we're considering?
When I was messaging Tina Nomad, I asked her, so out in the same area as the La Jolla Indian Reservation Campground, which is where the decompression has been quite a few years, and I think they did not let them do there this last year. I think maybe that relationship maybe fell apart a little bit or something. I don't know, something didn't happen to do it there. Mm-hmm. So that's another place that I haven't been. Leia, have you been there?
You're talking about the Utopia, right?
Yeah, I think that.
Yeah. So my understanding, there was some rough spots with that relationship, and also the tribe increased the price. So the event wasn't able to cover that. But yeah, it's beautiful. There's like lots of shaded area with some trees. Yeah. Okay.
So that is one other potential like option. And somebody has joined in from 1209. Who's that?
That's Lindsay.
Lindsay, how's it going, Lindsay?
Hey, Lindsay.
Yo. It's good. I'm just working and all the good stuff, and had a moment to call in. So I unfortunately won't have the video, but I'm super curious as to the conversation and happy to be here.
Cool. Well, welcome. Thanks for being here.
Thanks.
We're talking about venue logistics, and we just talked a lot about Lilac Oaks. We're going to go do a site visit this weekend on Sunday, and then we're talking about potential other venues. There's a nearby campground on the La Jolla Indian Reservation, so that could be another place that we could go check out. And it's actually not very far. Maybe I'd say, I was thinking we could possibly check it out even this weekend on Sunday. It's not that far, but I don't know whether we'll have time for that, but I guess it's an option after we finish Lilac Oaks.
Yeah.
So yeah, Matthew, we could check on that, get some of the pricing on that, and then Madre Grande is another property down here in San Diego that Bea, one of our villagers at Local Earth, she's been doing a lot of, they've got like a monthly sweat lodge there, and it's supposedly a really beautiful place that it's kind of, I want to say it's more of almost like a monastery. I don't know if I want to say it's a monastery, but kind of that vibe. It's a spiritual center.
Maybe a meditation center type of vibe.
Yeah. And Bea thought that it could be another option. So I haven't been there, but she has, and she's also been to Lilac Oaks and kind of knows the scope of what we're looking at for Evolution 2020. So those to me are two other potential venues at the moment. Yeah, Madre Grande.
Just excuse me for 1 second. I just want to apologize because I may have to, if you ask me a question and I don't answer, I got I'm preoccupied with something right now, but I don't want to go away. So
okay,
I'm gonna be back.
Okay, no worries. Thanks, JJ.
Thank you.
So yeah, so those can be, we'll have more information this Sunday on Lilac Oaks, and then we can also start to get some info on those two other potential venues.
Great. Yeah, I think at the very least, let's try to get some pricing on those others, because it doesn't have to take a lot of time just to get that basic info. And then, if they seem reasonable, we can, invest more time in the other options there. But I think at the very least, it's good just to kind of get a general idea of what are the alternatives that we're looking at.
Yep. Okay, so that's got most of the items we were talking about for kind of the ground crew volunteers. I'll continue to follow up with Nomad and see what her thoughts and feelings are on things. Put that as an action item. Check 2 other venues. Okay. The next up is food and water, and just deciding on what we want to provide. I like the idea for people that want to be as economical as possible, for them to have the option to just bring their own camping gear and cooking gear and food, and can make their own meals. I have a friend that has a food truck called Harvest Kitchen that sources his ingredients very ethically, locally, and so there's a couple food trucks that I feel like we could reach out to. I feel like it would be a nice option to have food there that people could just purchase. At the campsite, there's kind of 2 different spots where I thought I've seen that could be a good spot for the food truck. And then with water, kind of the thoughts of there are several, I think there's even some drinking fountains near the bathrooms. There's several spigots throughout the group site, but I don't know exactly where that water's coming from, if it's a well, if it's city water. And for drinking water, if we want to, kind of how we want to approach that. I guess there's a lot of options. We can, have people, if they are very concerned with their own water, bring their own water. We could try to create a partnership or sponsorship with some water filtration company that, we set up a filter on one of the spigots. So any thoughts or ideas from any of you on either the food or the water?
If I may, you just took a thought right out of my head with that last comment about partnering with a filtering company.
Yeah.
That would be the best way to go, I think. And also on the yeah, just what comes to mind, something that's really easy, aside from the food truck. Obviously, if you want to go that route, you can do that. But something that's really easy and nutritional would be smoothies. You know, have a smoothie booth. You know, it's a lot easier than cooking, and it's healthy and nutritional. So that's.
Yep. Yep. Okay.
I think, yeah,
Awesome.
water on site is valuable.
You said you like the idea of having a food truck on site?
Water.
Oh, water.
Like water for purchase, do you mean?
No.
Okay, that would be included with the admission. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So Joshua, would Lilac Oaks have information on their water quality that they might share on Sunday?
Yeah, I think that I should add that right now I have some just questions I want to make sure that we talk with them about either the next time I talk with Denise or on Sunday. And that will be one of them, is just clarifying the water quality.
And if you don't want to take that extra step to actually, you know, seek out and partner with a filtration company, and I'm sure somebody could come up with their own filter device, and you can just do it yourself.
Yeah.
I'm guessing it's city water.
Yeah.
Fluoridated.
I'm kind of guessing it's city water as well. Okay, verify water quality at Lilac Oaks. Any other thoughts, questions, ideas on the food or water at this point in time?
I think just I'm open for food trucks and stuff, and it's also maybe for like people who are staff or volunteers, for there to be a little bit of a communal food sharing, prepping situation. I think sounds and feels nice to me.
Yeah, that's a nice idea.
You thinking
I'd
about
agree
a
on
kitchen
that.
space?
Communal cooking and prep space for like kind of like volunteers and internal team.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
You might consider the separation factor. You know, some people don't. You know, they like everything to be included. What I'm referring to is, you know, silos. You don't want to have a little cooking area where people are over there enjoying some food when other people might get a little jealous. I mean, for lack of better wording.
Okay.
I'm just saying, I think everything should be included. Everybody should have access to everything.
Yeah, I think
There is a little bit of you know, like logistical aspects to that, you know, it's kind of like the inclusion exclusion question, but just from my experience in festival production, stuff like that, is like, if you include everybody and there's like, you know, a pantry and it's all the participants, that a lot of people take more than is equal. And then also like who's running and taking care of the kitchen and making sure that it's clean, and if it's open to all the participants, then it's just going to be crazy. And there's definitely like ways to go about it that can invite everybody in, but like paying for food for participants dramatically increases the amount of money that it costs to put on an event. So if we're thinking about that kind of stuff, I feel like it's really good to consider, like, are we feeding people, or, you know, are we going to like have a kitchen? And if we do have a staff kitchen, I mean, it isn't unusual for staff to have like an area. I mean, I just think about some of the kitchens that we have at Burning Man and stuff like that. Like, everybody pitches in, we build the infrastructure, we have like a pantry list, and then people on the staff actually sign up to cook for the rest of the staff. And everybody, like, there's menu items and all of that kind of stuff, and it ends up working really well. I don't necessarily think that everybody should be able to have access to the kitchen. Like, if we're having everybody camp and they can bring their own kitchen, it's kind of like any other festival. Like, we're paying our way, they can pay their way, kind of thing. It gets really tricky with food. So
just keep in mind though, this is a smaller event. It's not a Burning Man. It's much smaller event than that. So.
Yeah, but even at 150 people, that's still a lot. You know, we had to have, for 64 people at our last event, we had to have the kitchen staffed to feed our participants like all the time, pretty much. So it's definitely something to consider. It takes a lot of energy.
Yeah, it does. And Leia, I feel like you have something to say.
Yeah. I've also participated in gatherings and events where kind of piggybacking on the Burning Man concept and on what JJ was saying about inclusion versus exclusion, offering a list of donation items that you can bring for the kitchens, like staple foods or stuff like that. And then, you know, maybe there's one thing a day that's cooked and that is literally offered to anyone who wants to have it. But again, for that to be a possibility, we'd have to have people on the internal team or whatever that are really passionate about cooking, sharing food, and that's really what they want to do. I have some of those people in my, you know, groups, and I don't know if this is something that they'd be interested in. I can reach out. So I think it's good to still have it as a possibility of maybe we want to do this, and also acknowledge like the logistics of what it would look like for that to actually happen. I like the invitation of sharing meals with everyone, to embody that village experience and the possibility of all coming together and eating with each other and participating in that. So that's just what's coming up with that.
Yeah, I think it's something that we can continue to kind of reflect on as the months go by, and as we kind of see the scope of how much bandwidth each person has to commit to things. It takes on, I mean, a huge logistical planning amount of time, energy, resources, money. It's super simple to just, I mean, they say like, there's a food truck there, people want to buy food. You know, you can bring your own food to make your meals. I think it's real easy for us to create a little area that could be food prep and storage for volunteers. Getting into trying to feed everybody and this and that. I mean, that's getting into something that I personally don't know if I want to get into the complexity of that. If we feel like we have the bandwidth as a team and somebody wanted to initiate that, I would support that, but I also very much go towards simplicity at times. So,
and at the very least, maybe there's someone Leah or someone else knows who, or just a few people who want to make some communal item and then just offer it to people. So I think it's a good idea, as Joshua, you said, to you know, keep this in mind as the time goes on to see how it evolves.
And you know, some kind of fun kind of social experiment part of it could be like just event participants. Like, we could create some little Docker process of like just even inviting people, like if anybody wants to, help coordinate like community food sharing within all the campers, like create a Google Doc for them, and they can self-organize and plan, and maybe like the participants will create some amazing, thing together, but like that's not necessarily on our,
You just read my mind.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, that could be fun. Create for participants to self-organize meals. Cool. Well, this being, kind of our first logistics team meeting. So we'll just kind of we'll address a lot of these things kind of in this meeting. We have our general meeting I think it's next week. And just kind of let these things sit for a little bit and see how we want to address each of them. So it's good to just at least be highlighting and addressing all of them at this moment, bringing light to them, and we'll go deeper into all of this, obviously, as time goes by. The next topic was waste management. Really like the idea of like participants must bring their own cutlery, plates, bowls, water bottle, like all of their own cutlery. So there's no like single-use disposables needing to take place. And
That's
then
you're going to say bring their own toilet paper.
Yeah. And if there is a food truck or anything like that, making sure that any type of vendor is in a kind of alignment with that if they're serving anything, it's on compostable, ideally you get into that cross-contamination thing if it's a legal, I guess like a food truck or something, like sometimes I guess they're not really supposed to serve it into another person's bowl. So I guess we'll have to just go deeper into that, deciding if we do have a food truck or not. But at least just really an emphasis on, no single-use disposables. If anything like that's used, it's compostable, and we'll have a compost system there. And then that's another kind of closed loop that we need to figure out, like where the compost is going to go after the event, and kind of think through all of those systems. Similar with like a dishwashing kind of station that we could set up, like where that gray water goes. Is there a strategically designed flow for that water? Considering this is not like anybody's private property that we know, it's not like we can't literally plant a garden or something there. It's a campground, but we can be, strategic and mindful of what we're doing with our water. They do have, at Lilac Oaks, they do have several bathrooms. There were porta potties there. I'm not sure if those were part of the campgrounds or if they were addition from an event or something, but we need to check on that when we're there on Sunday. So we'll get a feel for how many bathrooms, if we would need any additional like porta potties. And there is a company like Ecozoic that has these really cool kind of composting toilets. It's another opportunity where we could pursue some kind of sponsorship or partnership if we featured somebody's, composting toilets or something like that. And Verify on Sunday, like I did see they have big, huge recycle bins there. I just want to make sure that we have enough, and we might want to have our own kind of recycling bins as well. So I guess all of this kind of under the waste management component. So any kind of thoughts, ideas, questions on any of this from any of you at this moment?
Do we have anyone that's specifically stating that they want to do the lead waste management?
No.
Hey, sorry, it took me a moment to unmute my phone. A few things. one of the things specifically with like Ecozoic and partnership or whatever with that, I would think it would be probably not super realistic to think that we could get them to come and do that service for free.
Yeah.
Just because like dealing with people's shit is real.
Yeah.
And I know what they go through in order to like create sustainable solutions, and like it's gnarly, and I super respect them. But they are friends of mine, and could talk to them about, you know, what we're doing and how they feel like they could or would like to participate. Definitely like in there, and we can kind of see where they're at and what their kind of minimum would be. So I'd be happy to have that conversation, because it is super awesome. But it's like with Ecozoic, the most beneficial way to use them is if the portable toilet actually like, well, actually, if the Ecozoic toilet system stays on the land.
Okay.
Because, and that might be something that you'd work out with like the Lilac people or whatever, that like it could be a gift, or we could hook them up and build it for them if they're paying for it. And that way we can get some of our friends some generative income.
Yeah.
That are creating solutions. But it serves 150 people a day per one unit, and it like composts so rapidly that it would be able to just like stay there as another system for them. So that's definitely an option as far as like long-term impactful solutions. And then the only other thing that I'm thinking about is like actual recycling, and getting people hyper educated, because like there's certain things that and I think that this would require like a waste management team, like people who are super passionate. But like a lot of people that are super earth conscious don't even realize that like if you put something like a coconut oil jar that's like contaminated and it's not fully cleaned out into your recycling, that it's all contaminated and all of your recycling goes to the garbage. And so like if we are, you know, we obviously will be doing recycling, but that we would have some sort of wash station. Maybe the recycling is by one of like the water spigots, and like having information, like an infographic, like, hey, did you know that you really need to clean out your recycling in order for it to happen? And then like take metal caps off plastic bottles and so on. So,
Lindsay, would you be willing to post like a link to that information about just that education about recycling? I mean, I hadn't heard that before, so I mean, I'd like to see that. And then I think that could also help us with our planning if we want to leverage that information at the summit.
Absolutely. Yeah, I will definitely get you all that amazing info juice. We had a really amazing couple that was like full on recycle ninjas at our last event, and they brought so much information and full systems, and had people in the bay that they would like bring properly like cleaned recycling to, that were doing something locally with it, as far as like large scale recycling enterprises and stuff. And so I'll reach out to her and also provide you all with the information that she provided us.
Awesome.
Sounds good.
Thank you, Lindsay. That's a great idea, and it kind of is making me think about like there's a group called I Love a Clean San Diego. Like Bea, one of our village mates, works with them. So maybe it'd be a good kind of action item for us I could create a little template message and even a little video just saying like, hey, we're reaching out to San Diego community. We're looking for people really interested in, you know, like regenerative waste management, recycling, educating people on that, and try to find either an organization or a couple people that would really want to like take on like that education component of this. I think that would be really beautiful. I think we could find somebody here in San Diego, an organization or somebody that really would like to kind of spearhead that.
Absolutely. I'm 100% into that, because there are some people who are incredibly passionate about getting the real information in, because like so many of us, you know, thought that we were recycling and it turns out that we weren't, you know, like it actually just happened here in Taos. I'm in New Mexico, for those that don't know, and our recycling center got shut down because it was one of the places that was connected to a bigger recycling center that shipped all of our recycling to China, which basically was being dumped off of a ship into the ocean. And the whole entire thing got shut down. So Taos doesn't even recycle anymore.
Wow.
And so there's like a lot of, you know, kind of seeing the underbelly of these things that we kind of like take for granted in a way. And I feel like something like Evolution 2020 could be a really epic venue to like provide some real information and also create solutions through, you know, strong community ties.
Yeah. I agree. I think this is a really important part of the event. Like it's, you know, I think some people might just think like, oh, waste and management, like garbage, like it's a pretty foundational part of like regenerative systems and Evolution 2020. So I'm glad that we're getting deeper into it right now. And also, Lindsay, I appreciated what you shared about Ecozoic, if they're left there. So that is something that we could, you know, explore with the campground management. If like, you know, if they would be interested in that, like they could start, like, maybe we could initiate, like inspire something with the campground to like have more sustainable regenerative practices at the campground, and they could start promoting themselves in San Diego County as a, you know, progressive, you know, green campground or something like that. So yeah, maybe we could learn more about Ecozoic. And it came up like maybe even in the Regenerative Solutions Summit, if it would be appropriate that they would be like a company that could be promoting their technology and product, like even if it didn't work out, that they like brought an actual like tool in there. I mean, it'd be great to have a demonstration. But where are they based out of, Lindsay? Do you know?
Actually, right now, they're up in Northern California.
Okay.
They're outside Nevada City. One thing that I do know is that there is a ton of unbuilt Ecozoic toilet setups up at the land where Oregon Eclipse was.
Okay.
That we could probably get some really cheap, just to like go and get them off the land. And they're all like, you know, they're not put together, so it'd be easy to ship. It's all like flat ship.
Okay.
Stuff.
Huh. Okay.
Is that Lindsay?
Yeah. What's up, JJ?
I thought so. Wasn't sure.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, Lindsay, if you could, it sounds like you're friends with them. I mean, if you could just reach out and let them, I mean, kind of put Evolution 2020 on their radar and just be like, we'd be interested to start communication with you all and seeing how we might be able to play together and support one another. And,
yeah, absolutely.
And yeah, definitely look into like what those unbuilt ones from the Oregon Eclipse are. That'd be an interesting option.
Totally. Yeah, I will for sure reach out and see what Cobos is up to. So cool. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, let's see. We got the next kind of thing I have on the agenda right now would be start talking about the topic of marketing, partnerships, sponsors, creating a list of sponsors and partnerships that we might want to explore. There's already a list of quite a few organizations in that general planning notes document. That's where we're listing those for the moment. At some point in time, we might copy and paste those over into a document of their own, but that's where they are right now. And then kind of starting to talk about social media, non-social media, different strategies of how we want to approach sharing the message and invitations for the gathering. And I loved, Lindsay, what I saw kind of happening with Embody was like real personal invitations of like, you know, this is a pretty intimate gathering of 144, 150 people. We really want to invite like the change makers and visionaries of the world that we know are friends that, you know, are really ready to play. So some form of like, you know, hey, like we're reaching out to you, personal invitations. And then, I mean, also totally game for us to be, I mean, promoting it on social media to people that we might not know. But yeah, so let's just kind of do a little round of either questions or comments or thoughts on kind of anything in the terms of like marketing or partnerships and sponsorships. Any questions, thoughts, or ideas?
Yeah, I mean, I'm more than happy to share about Embody. I feel like had we had more time, sponsorships and partnerships are definitely like a part of the game. I feel like aligned businesses to like in focusing on stuff that would actually support the event rather than just like random things, or like a company that's eco-conscious but like some real deep solution stuff, like, you know, some people who build solar panels like come out and like power info booth or something, those kinds of things. The water sponsor to get like somebody who's doing alkaline water. But as far as the actual event itself, you know, we did do personal invitation. We did absolutely no social media, which saved us so much energy. And it also created a super tight container. There wasn't any like, you know, random people that were kind of disrupting the field. Like everybody was pretty much in the field of trust. And there was still some rainbows that showed up and didn't pay anything, but they were like very much in service and very present. And so it was like, we knew that they were supposed to be there. But the best part about it all is like everyone who was there knew somebody else that was there. And it created such an amazing, tight community that like our Embody attendees chat, like people are constantly continuing to get together. They're forming caravans. Like every once in a while, somebody will be like, oh my God, I just was filled with overwhelming love for you all. Like, this is my favorite, you know, and like the connection that we made was like probably the most valuable thing of the whole thing. And there was a lot of value that was gleaned, but we just have a really tight family with the people who are there. And yeah, the social media, like having somebody slave away on Instagram or Facebook and promoting all this stuff all the time, it wasn't necessary. We didn't do it at all. And I just, from my own personal experience promoting events, that's like the worst to me. And I know some people are really good at it, but it was really amazing to not even have to worry about it.
Cool.
I would like to say one thing that came to mind when you mentioned the invites, you know, the personal touch. I think that's a great idea. but if you do that, and I'm probably telling you something you haven't already thought of, but just in case, you need to do it well in advance, so that you and ask for what do they call it? A response. A confirmation whether they're going to be there or not, so that you can really base your the core of the attendees you'll know, and then open it up to the rest of the people on a different on a basic invitation, so to speak.
Yeah, and that's I love to. I mean, that's why we started this a year in advance. And I do like to have, space to, time to feel prepared and send out those invites. And so I love what you shared, Lindsay, like about kind of keeping that field tight, and the personal invites. And then I think I don't mind I definitely don't want to spend massive amounts of time or energy like doing tons of social media myself, but I do enjoy creating like little like informational or like little videos, not like produced videos, just little shout outs of like, hey, we're going to be featuring this water filtration system, at the Regenerative Solutions Summit, come check this company out. Or,
and I have no problem helping. That's something I can do from this remote location. I have no problem helping. And I like, I'm on Facebook quite often.
Okay.
And so I can definitely help promote with that stuff.
Cool. And I think there are definitely, people outside of, it's like, I'm sure there's hundreds, if not thousands of people in San Diego County that I don't know that are totally into like regenerative living and like don't want to exclude, being able to connect with those people as well. So,
yeah. And we've had those conversations as well. And like, I've produced quite a few like events and retreats and things like that. And I actually found that the personal invite, I got more attendance than any Facebook or like social media production. And like one of the conversations that we had is it's not about leaving people out, but like focusing on who's actually showing up to create deep impact and like the relationships that are going to actually carry us forward.
Yeah.
Rather than like trying to reach everybody and then have a mix of like people who are committed and who aren't. And like, we kind of worked with that because we didn't want to leave anybody out. We wanted people to be able to experience this thing, but not everybody's actually ready to receive it either.
Yeah.
And so, thinking about all of that as well has been a part of why we decided to do what we did. And, we got 64 people in like 2.5 months of invites. And so, having a year, because it's going to be in September, am I right?
Yep.
Having a year to do it, there's going to be a lot more, but we're going to do another Embody in New Mexico in June. So instead of like 2 months, we're going to have 4 months or something, 5 months. But, growing it organically and stuff. But it definitely created like, okay, all of these people are really down for the cause. Like they're really showing up. And being able to just like trust the field and not have to worry about like people doing anything destructive or security or all of those kinds of things.
Yeah.
I want to jump in just really quickly because I have to head out. I think this is a really great conversation to be having. It brings up for me the question of quantity versus quality. So I think that's why, right, those personal invitations are working well versus sometimes like slaving away at social media campaigns, because you can check the box for social media but not necessarily actually have something that's that quality of connection that personal invitation has. And also that I think there's probably like a middle ground that we can find. I wanted to just check in really quickly about what was coming up for me as far as sponsorships and such. I know that in our last monthly meeting, we talked about kind of what the vision for the summit is, and whether that's an intention for like a festival-ish kind of celebration or more serious in a way. And because I'm really, excited and looking forward to connecting to possible sponsors and partners, that needs to be something that we kind of decide on, what it is that the intention really is, and that the vibe and everything that we're looking for is, so that we can, I think, move forward with connections with sponsors and partners.
Yeah. And I'm glad you're saying that. I think we said this in one of the general meetings. I think maybe Matthew had said something, and I kind of clarified, want to be really mindful of, like, I've been referring to this too as a gathering, Regenerative Solutions Summit. Like, I'm not at all referring to it as a festival. Saying that there's weaving elements of the transformational festival there with music and sound healing and yoga, and I mean parts of that, but definitely more emphasis on the Regenerative Solutions Summit side of things, really like masterminds, bringing together solutions, demonstrating, products and materials and technologies and solutions. So that's definitely the vibe that, I mean, we're bringing is more, regenerative community development and solutions.
I think but in that conversation too, we also, isn't some of the material at this point, like the social media material that's being used, still talking about like a party for the planet and stuff, right? Like, or
it does say a party for the planet. And I think it's, I think part of evolution to me is being able to bring celebration and the idea of celebration in a conscious and intentional and mindful way. And, like, there's no alcohol allowed at this campground. It's no alcohol there. And so it's like, you can really, I think, to bring that into evolution discussion of, like, how can we celebrate and have a party and, like, have amazing musicians and not all be drunk and on substances, to me, that's part of evolution as well. Like, can we talk about regenerative agriculture and water systems during the day, and dance around great music at night, and wake up and have yoga in the morning, and not be hungover from a bunch of substance, so yeah, I think it is kind of integrating those two, the feeling of celebration and, like, really progressive kind of solution, blending the mind and the heart together.
Yeah, I think what you're trying to get at, Leah, is maybe the marketing approach. Is that what you're asking? Like,
yeah,
because I think you want to put the music out there as a bit of a lure, so to speak, but put it on the back burner and make the main focus the sustainable subjects.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
So
okay,
how might we?
I have to head out, but
Okay, take care, Leah.
Okay,
I'm gonna leave too. I just got informed that a friend of mine got taken to the hospital, so I gotta check into that.
Oh,
Okay, well, good luck with your friend. Thank you for being here, Leah. We'll record this if you want to check in on the last. I think we'll probably wrap up here in the next couple minutes.
Okay.
yeah.
Thank you all.
Bye, JJ.
Bye,
See you
JJ.
next
Bye,
time.
Leah.
Matthew, what were you gonna say?
I'm not familiar with the wording Leah referred to, the party for the planet, or what it looks like, but I'm wondering how might we update that to reflect the true intention of this event?
Yeah. I think there's just on the current website, there's somewhere where it says, it says somewhere on their party for the planet.
Mm-hmm.
And we can look at that and see if we want to change that or create new terminology. Because I go back and forth, because I strive to be as balanced in my own life as possible.
Mm-hmm.
like not, you know, there were times where I was like, does it make sense to try to bring together like musicians and this and like, you know, really intellectual conversation on regenerative solutions? And I was like, maybe it's best to just, you know, have this summit in a, you know, in a civic center somewhere. And like, I don't know, like, I guess the more I felt into it and talked with other friends of like, and the concept of evolution of like, I think sometimes those can get kind of sterile and intellectual. And like, I think there is a beauty of like bringing the idea together of like, of celebration, and like innovative intellectual solutions.
Mm-hmm. So I wonder how we might update the phrasing to incorporate both sides of that.
Yeah. That's a good and just action item that I'll put here is to explore like new terminology for Party for the Planet.
Because we want to reflect both the celebration as well as the, and I guess we could just in a word call it development aspects.
Yeah. I'm gonna pull up evolution. It currently says, get ready to dance, co-create global solutions, implement local projects, and celebrate a healthy, thriving planet. Get ready to evolve. Up above that, it says, evolution is a gathering of global revolutionaries, visionaries, and change makers ready to create regenerative solutions for the planet.
Mm-hmm.
Evolution is the integration of a regenerative solutions summit, transformational festival, and epic concert all in one. Evolution is a party for the planet.
So what were there were like three phrases at the end. Was it summit, festival, and what was the last one?
Concert.
Summit, festival, and concert. Okay. When I hear that, then I'm hearing two of those three terms that makes me kind of lean more towards this celebration component.
Yeah. And I'll just put it in the chat right now. It's just the website link. It's right there at the top.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm totally open to us to considering to kind of, or keep revisiting like how, the messaging, and if it is or is not feeling accurate to like what we feel like the actual kind of vibe and intention is.
Yeah, and I think it's important we, you know, kind of get the feedback from those connectors like Leah and marketing folks. Because I mean, really, I think of this webpage that you've just shared, Joshua, and what you read as, I mean, it's a vision not just for the summit, but it's a vision for the foundation of the village, of the second phase, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like they're kind of, it's all the foundation's being laid simultaneously. So so I wonder what do you think is the best way we could get feedback on, you know, how we present this? Because I mean, really getting this feedback is building the vision. And then, you know, the more people that we, like Leah, who can actually look at, maybe they'll look at this webpage and say, hey, you know, this is what I see, or, you know, this is what I'd like to see that's not on there. Then, you know, that can help, you know, clarify the vision, and then also get people enrolled and get people communicating about it.
Yeah.
So what do you think is a good way to do that?
The first thing that comes to my mind is, let's see, like I haven't used it a lot, but yesterday, even just in a little group discussion thread I'm with, like a couple friends who are visiting San Diego right now, like one of them posted, hey, do you guys want to have breakfast on Saturday or Sunday morning, and created a little poll, and everybody could just write there in Facebook, like be like, Saturday or Sunday? I want to go Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't played around with that in the Facebook group, I think there are some different tools in there, like polls and questions, and even in a Facebook Messenger thread, there are some of those tools that I haven't fully used.
Mm-hmm.
And so maybe, I mean, one action step could just be to, within our, like even in our main thread for Evolution 2020 and our Facebook group, could create a little post saying, hey, we're trying to get feedback from everybody on like the messaging for the gathering. You know, here's the current update on, you know, the vision intention that we're trying to share with the public.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts? And give people like, you know, maybe we create several little different taglines and say like, you know, which one of these do you like? Or, you know, share your own, or something like that could be a way to get some people's thoughts and engagement with that.
Yeah, we could make a poll that has just a few headlines for how we could describe this summit, and then, you know, open it to comments as well, and maybe even in the poll put a link to this webpage you sent me. I mean, that could be a good start.
Yeah. To evaluate messaging for event, party for the planet, etc. For the party for the planet, etc. Cool. Yeah, I think that would be a good thing for us to do. I can think through a few options and start to explore the Facebook tools, and then do you kind of would you be interested in kind of tag teaming with me on this little process of like, I can kind of create a message and you and I can kind of go back and forth on some ideas of how to do the poll.
Sure, let's do that.
Cool. Well,
so is there any other support that you could use at this time, you know, for non-local things, meaning like something that wouldn't require me to be there in person?
Let's see. Let me think on that. Like, thank you so much for asking. Like, I'm looking at our action items, and some of it does feel like kind of, you know, that it is local right now, like going to the campground, figuring out logistics for that. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure there are things, like there's nothing right at this moment that I'm thinking like, oh, you know, this would be really supportive, but I'm sure there are things that you can definitely be supporting with remote.
Yeah. And I'm asking, you know, for what I could potentially, but also with, you know, the broader planning team in mind. You know, I just have this idea that I mean, obviously you are spearheading everything.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, you know, what sort of support might you use from other people, not just me. You know, for example, we talked about the waste management. You know, somebody asked, do we have a person who's in charge of that? So I mean, that's one thing I wonder. You know, do you based on the vision so far, are there certain kind of roles or kind of projects that you're seeing that people could take on, or at least just contribute to, like that being as an example of what was it, waste management, like even just somebody doing more, like do you have certain idea of requests of people? And I guess also this just relates to your style, like of leadership. Do you want to make any sort of requests of people to assist, or are you more kind of just, you know, hoping people get inspired to and then take initiative on their own? What's your style?
Yeah, I mean, I guess my general style is always like hoping to just like have people feel inspired and wanting, you know, what they want to be involved with and feel inspired to support. I don't like necessarily feeling like I'm asking or demanding anything from anybody, that especially, you know, that's like volunteering their efforts.
Sure.
So
Sure.
I'm a big fan of trying to encourage kind of self-organizing and initiation. You know, it would be nice for us to start getting some people that are, you know, stepping into a little bit more of kind of a operations lead for a certain area, like, you know, for example, that waste management.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that'll just take us as, you know, as a small kind of core group at the moment. Like, I feel confident that we can create a little message about, you know, hey, we're really looking to form a strong small team that really wants to provide education around waste management, this gathering. And I think I think it'll just take a little bit of, you know, time and planning to think who these operations lead type people could be for each little segment of the overall.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's probably just a bit too early to do that.
Yeah, I think we're, you know, and I think this is, we're entering into Christmas. I think, you know, feeling kind of building the energy of the new year, and 2020 is, you know, is upon us. So I think in January, I think we've got a lot of good groundwork done over these last like 2 months. And, you know, maybe in January, starting to really try to get some more kind of people stepping into kind of operations leads of a specific sector of this. Yeah.
Sounds good. Yeah, probably after holidays and New Year, that's a good time to kind of kickstart some action.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think we've got a good amount of kind of groundwork that we've done. And, you know, a lot of this actually did stem out of, I was for a little while in some conversations with Lindsay and the group that was doing Embody up in Northern California. And I was potentially going to be, I mean, more deeply involved with that kind of the leadership of some of the sectors of that. And it's the timeline, just all of a sudden it felt really short. Like, I mean, there's only a couple months. And I was just like, it hit me. I was like, I like to have like a year to really, you know, if there's something I want to be involved in. So that was actually a lot of how Evolution 2020 is like, well, we need to start planning something for the next phase of the village. And then it was like, wow, you know, we could do something about a year out. And so that was part of how this evolved, actually.
Oh, that's interesting to know. So yeah, it makes sense that you want to feel comfortable so that you have the time and the space to really allow the vision to clarify and also to manifest. It's not something that you want to be rushing. You want to have that comfort of the time and space.
Yeah. I don't like to feel rushed. Like, it feels nice that, like, I mean, we still have quite a bit of time before our 6-month point, where if we were like, hey, like, we want to be ready by 6 months before the event on I guess that would be the fall equinox, that we all are ready to like send out our personal invitations. We have our messaging clear. We have kind of our you know, like that feels good to me, that like we're starting to invite friends 6 months out, not like, you know, we're 4 months out and we're starting the planning process, you know? So yeah.
Yeah, it's good to have the groundwork done before even, you know, formal invitations or more formal invitations go out. So that definitely makes sense.
Yeah. Awesome, Matthew. Well, thank you so much for being part of this call and this team and all of your support and participation. I really appreciate it.
Sure. Well, I hope the visit on Sunday is really great. If you have any video or photos from that, then I and others, I imagine, would be very interested to see them.
Yeah. Maybe we'll take even a little video or something while we're there, just a short little one to say hi to everybody. Sure.
Yeah. Well, I hope it's a fruitful gathering. And yeah, again, I acknowledge you for your leadership. I mean, you're really, you know, driving the effort and leading all these meetings. So it's, you know, it's a great investment of time that you're making, and I hope that it, you know, pays off for the benefit of many. Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you for the acknowledgement. I appreciate it, Matthew. Sure.
All right, brother. Well, enjoy the rest of your Friday, and we'll be in touch soon.
Okay, you as well. Take care, Joshua.
Cheers, Matthew.
Peace.